Good morning and welcome to the second webinar regarding Vision 2026, Newfoundland and Labrador's Tourism Strategy. Today's webinar is brought to you by the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts and Recreation, and Hospitality NL, in cooperation with the Destination St. John's, Legendary Coast of Eastern Newfoundland, Adventure Central, Go Western Newfoundland, and Destination Labrador. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Juanita Ford, the COO of Hospitality NL. I'm so pleased to see many of today's participants have returned after our Vision webinar from past April. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the land in which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk. We acknowledge the island of Newfoundland as the unceded territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. We acknowledge Labrador as traditional and ancestral lands of the Innu of Netassawin, the Inuit of Nunatsiavut, and the Innu of Nunatunavut. We recognize all First Peoples who were here before us, who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. We strive to be responsible stewards of the land and respect the cultural ceremonies and traditions of all who call it home. We are open our hearts and minds to the past. We commit ourselves to working to spirit of truth and reconciliation to make better futures for all. Today's webinar will be just around 2 hours long, and we will be recording the webinar for those who could not attend today. Due to the time and the large number of participants attending the webinar, we will not be able to accommodate a live Q&A. So we will have, if you have specific questions, please post them in the Q&A and we'll do our best to respond to them offline. There will be a few poll questions throughout the presentation, so we encourage you to engage with us along the way. We are joined again today by Carol Gilliard, Assistant Deputy Minister of the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts and Recreation. For those that don't know Carol, she's a former CEO of Hospitality NL and has been entrenched in tourism for a long time now. Carol will give us an update on Vision 2026, highlight practical actions and outcomes that impacts you as a tourism operator in Newfoundland and Labrador. We are so pleased that you could return today and continue the conversation. Thank you for joining us, Carol.
Okay, so thank you so much, Juanita, and thank you to everyone that joined the webinar this morning. I believe we had something like 364 people registered to participate, which is a record high for us, so we really appreciate your time. We have a lot of territory to cover, so we're going to launch in immediately. However, I just wanted to take a few minutes to let you know that I should be joined by Craig Foley, who is the CEO of Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador here today. Unfortunately, Craig has had a family emergency, and he asked to pass along to everyone that unfortunately his mom passed away this morning and he couldn't be here. He is tending to more important matters there with his family there this morning, and we certainly send our thoughts to Craig today. So we will continue on. I will aim to represent Craig. I'll use a deeper voice when I get to his sections. I hope you have your mug full, and this is going to be a comprehensive check-in so that we're all aware of all of the transition actions that we've completed and where we are with the vision. So our goal for today is to give you a very brief overview of 2026 vision. We want to do a status update on where we are with the first phase, the transition phase, and then some of the things that we've learned over the course of the transition action plan and the direction that that is setting for us for the transformation stage. So I will give a very brief summary of Vision 2026. I know that many of you are familiar with Vision 26, but if there are anybody new to the room or you've only scratched the surface, I'll give you a high-level overview and then we'll do a deep dive. So the guideposts for Vision 26, as developed by private and public stakeholders that all came together to develop this vision for Newfoundland and Labrador tourism, we created our vision statement, which was that Newfoundland and Labrador is a thriving tourism destination that delivers high quality, authentic, unforgettable experiences to visitors. And as part of that, our mission statement is to be a thriving tourism destination that utilizes a regenerative development approach to contribute to strong economic performance, energize sociocultural vibrancy, and support healthy people, communities, and environments in Newfoundland and Labrador. So one of the more important words in the vision and mission statement is this word regenerative. And so what does it mean to take a regenerative approach in tourism? There's a lot of ways that people define what regenerative means, but at its core, regenerative approach is about improving an entire system. It's taking a holistic approach that goes beyond tourism development for pure economics, which is really important to tourism, but it also strives to achieve social and environmental goals. And the tourism industry in Newfoundland and Labrador is regenerative in nature. And we've been working with a regenerative approach, whether we knew it or not, for a long time. But what we want to do is expand on the work that we have done and be more active in our approach. So the foundation of a regenerative approach is really about unity. It's the unity of the individual parts operating as a whole to achieve great things for people in place. And it's also the unity of the stakeholders that have to work together to achieve a common vision. So I said throughout the course of the development of this presentation today is that we have to be united in our approach for how we divide and conquer, all of us in our individual roles. So tourism is a dynamic ecosystem, which is why it's naturally aligned with a regenerative approach to development. There are diverse private, nonprofit, community, and government stakeholders that have to come together in order to make tourism a success. So tourism is not made here and shipped somewhere else. It happens right here on the ground in communities alongside the people that live here. So the people of the province are a part of the experience for visitors, unlike many other sectors of the economy. The economic benefits of tourism are also dispersed right throughout the entire province, benefiting both urban and rural economies and offering many opportunities for employment and business ownership in all parts of the province. But tourism industry is not just about the economic benefits. It depends on a vibrant culture and natural environment. And these assets are also really important to the people that live here. When we say the tourism industry, we should also start thinking about the visitor economy. Tourism serves all types of travel, which is leisure, business travel, visiting friends and relatives, meetings, conventions, sports and cultural, and compulsory travel, such as health and education. While our focus is more on attracting leisure travelers, the visitor economy in its totality has to be in our sights. Tourism alone does not provide the provincial demand to grow an efficient and affordable transportation system, for example, but it is particularly important sector that advocates for these things. And an affordable transportation system also makes the province a better place for residents. Tourism operations are also often the drivers behind the preservation and protection of our natural and cultural assets, and are constantly monitoring these assets. For these and many other reasons, tourism is a unique industry, and but tourism is also the tourism development is also a formula. And you have to plug in your variables in the right combination in order to make it a success. So what we have done in the development of Vision 26, through a great deal of engagement with the industry and all of our diverse stakeholders, we all agreed that there are some big challenges that we have to address, and that there are some key opportunities that we have to seize in order to make the leaps in growth that we want in tourism. We identified these 8 pillars representing our priorities moving forward. And underneath these main pillars, there are action plans for each with outcomes and actions defined. We thought very carefully about what we needed to achieve and divided our efforts into 3 phases. The transition phase was designed to transition the industry through the early days of recovery from the pandemic. It was defined as a time for the industry to stabilize, adapt to scaling back up from record lows, adapt to changes in the world, markets, economic systems, etc. And it was identified as a time to do some additional research and evaluation that we needed to set us up for the next phase of our vision, the transformation phase. So this phase, the transformation phase, is where we take everything we have learned over the past 2 years and adapt our strategies moving forward. So this will take us from 24 to 26. The final phase is Thrive, which is 2027 to 2030. While we haven't developed the action plan for this phase, we have developed what we define as thriving, both as an industry and as a province by 2030. So there is going to be a lot of content that we are talking about today. So we have, early on when we launched the vision, we defined a transition action plan, which had actions for all of the pillars. And so we are going to take you through an overview of key actions and updates from all of the 8 pillars. So for pillar number 1, which is one of the pillars that Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador takes lead in, and it would be Craig presenting this pillar to you. But the outcomes that we wanted to achieve for pillar 1 is that the tourism industry is recognized as a provincial force to achieve strong economic performance, socio-cultural vibrancy, and environmental action. And that tourism contributes to making Newfoundland and Labrador a great place to visit and a great place to belong. And how we were going to, our main priorities for this pillar is to have a good solid provincial strategy and policies, effective implementation processes, that we were addressing the key legislation and regulations, that we had engagement at all levels of government, and that we were in particular engaging with locals and communities. Our key actions under this pillar was the launch of Vision 2026 and the development of our transition action plan, as well as the development of a communications and engagement plan, which this session today is a part of. But primarily, we were to really focus in on some of those key tourism policy barriers that the industry wanted to tackle, and they have prioritized some of the ones that are most pressing. Right now, they were the Tourist Accommodations Act. There are various municipal, provincial, and federal policy issues, as well as business regulations. If Craig was here, he would present a high-level overview of all of these policy issues. We all have a role to play in raising the profile of tourism and contributing to the evolution of the regulatory and policy environment here in the province. And Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador and key industry partners do raise the profile of the tourism industry as a vital contributor and help inform on policy issues that are preventing growth and outcomes in the tourism industry. Right now, the Tourist Accommodations Act, I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second, but at the top of the list right now, there was the Towns and Local Districts Act was recently launched in the province. That included the ability to charge accommodation fees in municipalities. So there's certainly work that Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador will be doing with municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador, and the consistency in policy and inspections from a government regulatory standpoint. There's some work in short-term rentals and tax policy, and some big changes to the employment insurance policies with 5 additional weeks for seasonal workers. So Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador is doing a great deal of work in these areas. One of those in particular is the Tourist Accommodations Act. When we proclaimed the new legislation in April of 2023, We did that in partnership with Industry and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador. And at the time, we had about 740 licensed operators. And since the launch of the TAA, we are upwards of about 1,200 registered to date. And we have given the timeline of March 31st, 2024 to have all of the accommodations in the province registered. We're learning as we go with Tourist Accommodation Act and our work that we're doing there, that there needs to be clearer guidelines for accommodations and key stakeholders in the registration process. There's a lot of players from the provincial government, from fire departments, from municipalities. There's different situations when there's local service districts. So we are trying to put more focus on communication of clearer guidelines, not only for accommodators, but also for our key partners. We have done substantial work to build collaboration with the primary platforms as one of the most effective ways that we can enforce the Tourist Accommodations Act. Our team in visitor services that is doing the registrations will know the day that Airbnb sends out an email about the need for people to be registered in Newfoundland and Labrador, because those are the days when we receive the 50 to 60 calls. So it does work to have that collaboration with the platforms. And we do need to have strong collaboration with the main government departments, industry, and local governments. There's also a lot of transportation policy that Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador is engaged in to advance a sustainable transportation system in Newfoundland and Labrador. Some of the key issues at the present moment would be Marine Atlantic's cost recovery model. Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador keeps a close eye on fuel surcharges, and we all need to make sure that the capacity on Marine Atlantic is keeping up with the demand. And I'll show you some statistics later on that show you the demand on Marine Atlantic service. We're also working with the federal government and our stakeholders in transportation around the air passenger protection regulations. And Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador has done a great deal of work around rideshare policy in Newfoundland and Labrador. So some of the direction for the transformation phase so far would be, we just established an industry partnership with TCAR and Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador to further promote the Tourist Accommodations Act. We also are working with other government departments, municipalities, communities, and the platforms to provide more clarity around TAA processes. There is a lot more engagement and communications we need to do, and continued advocacy actions. So we are right now past pillar number 1, and we're going to start with our first poll question. So the first poll question, we're going to start off easy, and we're going to say, the tourism industry is recognized as a vital sector of the economy in my community. Please I'm sorry, I just got to close a box there. Please choose the one that you agree with. So I strongly agree with this statement. I agree with this statement. I disagree with the statement. I strongly disagree, or I don't know. Okay, so we'll just give a few minutes. We've got almost 300 people on the call, and we're ticking up there to see where we are. Okay, just a few more, slowly trickling in now. And I think we've probably got the majority there. So let's end the poll and see where we landed. Okay, so those are the results. Well, that is an impressive number that 48% strongly agree that the tourism industry is recognized as a vital sector, and 42% agree. And it's a 4% that are, no, wait, now it's about 9% that disagree with that statement. We do know that there is work to do. in our communities to raise the profile of Newfoundland and Labrador tourism. And that's certainly a part of our pillar here, pillar 1. Okay, let's move to, I'm going to get rid of the box there. And let's move to the next slide, which is where we start with pillar number 2. So the outcomes that we defined for pillar number 2 is that the tourism industry's leadership structure and governance model provides a strategic and operational network to plan and implement evidence-based strategies. The tourism industry's leadership, vision, and priorities are aligned, and it's energizing advancements in wealth and well-being for people, communities, and businesses. When we did the vision, we developed 2 outcomes for each of the pillars because we wanted an inward outcome for our industry, and we wanted an outward outcome for the entire province. So how we are going to achieve that, our priorities for pillar 2 would be an effective leadership structure, alignment and unity of purpose, to really drive the private sector engagement in the vision implementation, that we had diverse, we build on our diverse stakeholder engagement, that we're working at the local level for involvement and promotion, and that we were building our leadership capacity. The 2 key deliverables that we had for pillar 2 was a vision evaluation of, Vision 2020 evaluation. And I know some people will look at this and say, why are we looking back to Vision 2020? When Vision 2026 was developed, it was at a time where we needed to be focused forward. It was during the pandemic and the early days of the recovery. And so everybody wanted to face forward and develop a short-term action plan for how we recover. But we put a lot of effort into 10 years to achieve the Vision 2020, and there's a lot that was achieved. But most importantly, what can we learn from that tremendous effort that we can apply to Vision 26? And the next part of pillar 2 was to do a leadership review. We had established a private-public leadership model for Vision 2020, and so we needed to evaluate the effectiveness of the model to come up with recommendations for Vision 2026 leadership, and to evolve the tourism board into a new model. So some of the key achievements of Vision 2020 as developed by Gus Gilroy, who did the evaluation of the Vision 2020 and the private-public leadership model, was that Vision 2020 supported economic growth in the tourism sector and the province. Through Vision 2020, we saw increased visitation of 1.8% average annual growth in non-resident air and auto visitation from 2009 to 2019. We didn't go to 2020 to measure for obvious reasons. There was an increase of 3.6% average annual growth in resident and non-resident spending from 2007 to 2019. If we look at the period from 2009 to 2019, the average annual growth in spending was 4.3%. And Vision 2020 contributed to the creation of new jobs and new businesses. There were a couple of high-level achievements from the vision as well. One of those was the development of the shared leadership model, which was innovative at the time and considered a significant achievement. There was much progress made because of the new leadership structure, and it was achieved by having industry and the provincial government and the federal government all at the same table. And it led to more integrated planning and programming in marketing, product development, infrastructure, and in so many ways. So the integration of individual priorities toward a broader approach helped grow tourism investment in our province. Vision 2020 also led to important progress under 7 strategic directions, as listed there on the left side of the screen. It led to a successful marketing strategy that contributed to high brand awareness and engagement with potential travelers. It expanded the workforce, and I'll show you some specific numbers on that in just a few minutes. It also led to the creation of new traveler products and experiences, in particular, the creation of 5 regional destination development plans and a product development plan supported the creation of new and better products in the province and spurred a shift at the operator level towards more focus on and investments in experiential tourism. It also established the minimum standards for operators through the Tourism Assurance Plan and through market readiness guidelines. So it did enhance the quality assurance of the provincial tourism industry. So when it comes to air transportation, seat capacity steadily increased from 2009 to 2016, increasing from 960,000 inbound seat capacity in 2009 to 1.3 million in 2016. Obviously, we didn't do this alone. There are stakeholders that are our transportation partners that drove the air access file, like our airports and our airlines. But it's the larger economy that provides the demand for air capacity. So the greatest proportion of inbound air travel was domestic. However, international air access saw the greatest shifts, likely caused by the addition and loss of key flight routes. Employment in Newfoundland and Labrador, the total number of tourism-related jobs in transportation, in accommodation, food and beverage, recreation, entertainment, and travel services all saw increases during the Vision 2020 timeframe. The biggest change occurred from 2009 to 2014 with the addition of nearly 4,000 jobs in the sector. And then numbers remain relatively consistent over the next 5 years. Visitation saw increases from 2009 to 2016, peaking at 515,000 air and auto visitors in 2016. Visitation data lines with our air access trends. So you can see the same curve, the loss of multiple key flight routes 2016 onward. Business-related travel steadily declined as well, particularly from 2016 to 2018, in part due to the weakened oil and gas industry. And overall, from 2009 and to 2019, non-resident air and auto visitation increased 19%, representing an average annual growth of 1.8%. Cruise visitors also entered the province. Proportions are significantly smaller than air and auto, and they range from 15,000 to 52,000. Other factors cited for declining visitation included the increased cost of gas and/or travel and travel fatigue following the Canada 150 celebrations in 2018. So our overall goal of doubling tourism revenues to 1.58 billion by 2020. From 2009 to 2019, non-resident spending increased 53% with an average annual growth of 4.3%. Spending by non-residents increased by 215 million over 8 years, from 360 million in 2009 to 575 million in 2017. Tourism spending, both resident and non-resident, peaked in 2018 at 1.32 billion. Some of the factors that came from the report about the implementation of Vision 2020 was the need for even greater alignment and effectiveness of the tourism board partners, internal and external communications, limited short-term action planning, and defined performance measurements, particularly in the later part of Vision 2020, and obviously, as demonstrated with the highs and lows of air access in the province, transportation access played an important role in Vision 2020. So some of the key learnings for Vision 2026 would be recommendations around creating that solid blueprint for action, the further focus of alignment of roles and responsibilities, the development of comprehensive communication plans and consistent engagement like we're having here today with all of our stakeholders, to evolve the tourism board into a new advisory structure, annualize priorities and activities, to maintain a vision implementation group who are responsible for the execution of Vision 2026, and a comprehensive performance measurement and evaluation framework. So throughout the transition phase, there's been an evolution of the tourism board into a more collaborative, strengthened leadership approach. First, there is a need to strengthen the collaboration between the key provincial and regional tourism industry associations, including H&L and the DMOs, but also other sector organizations like NLEDA and NLO. Sorry, not NLO, NLOA, apologies. While each of these organizations all have different roles to play in driving our vision for tourism, they all represent the tourism industry in the province. Ensuring there's more formal collaboration among these organizations will strengthen the voice of industry to all levels of government, and it will enable the industry to be more united in how we divide and conquer our vision. H&L is leading the development of an MOU with destination management organizations, and this will also confirm a commitment by the provincial tourism minister to meet twice a year with the broad leadership of all of these groups. We have already had 2 of these leadership sessions, one in June and the other in October. The implementation group, which is made up of Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, TCAR, the destination management organizations, industry, energy and technology, and ACOA were also recommended to remain in place as the key body that leads the implementation of Vision 2026, but also has to evolve. After the direction is set at the spring and fall leadership sessions, the implementation group is committed to providing spring and fall provincial industry update webinars, which is why we're here today. These sessions aim to deliver all of the key information to the entire industry so that we are all on the same page about what our game plan is and what our action plans are. There will also be industry engagement on the ground for operators and stakeholders to feed into the process, to learn more and to keep the sharing of knowledge and direction. So some of the learnings that we have for transformation phase and some of the key steps would be the advancement of the industry alignment MOU. The implementation group has to finalize the transition action plan and create the transformation action plan with an alignment of roles and responsibilities, continued communication and engagement, and building leadership capacity. So poll question number 2. So the next question for relating to leadership and governance: what is your level of engagement with provincial and regional tourism industry? My box keeps coming up, so I'll just reduce it. What is your level of engagement with provincial and regional tourism industry associations such as Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, DMOs, sector associations? Choose all that apply. I am a member partner of one or more associations. I am a board member / volunteer. I participate in online face-to-face engagement sessions that are offered, such as AGMs and training, and I'm not a member and or engaged in any tourism associations. So let's see if we can get the majority of people in. We are about 64% of the voting. And starting to slow down, so just a few more seconds for you to vote. Starting to slow down. Okay, all right, let's see where we landed. Excellent. We do have a 61% of the people that are on the call are members, partners of one or more association. That's fantastic. I do know that we have a lot of support staff that are on the call as well, from the department, from Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, from the DMOs, so they probably didn't know which way to vote, but that's really good numbers for the involvement in our associations. And about 20% of the people that are on the call today are either a board member or a volunteer. So thank you so much for participating, and thank you for serving in those leadership roles. And 60% participate in online face-to-face engagement. We're hoping that when we come back next year in the spring and do our spring engagement session, that we might be able to offer some of these similar poll questions and see some additional progress. And less than 20% are not a member or engaged. And the call to action for you if you're not engaged to become engaged. And that does not necessarily mean to become a member. At least get on the communications list so that you receive the information. Okay, so let's move on to pillar 3. And let me get my slide to change. All right, we're having some technical difficulties here. My slide is not moving. Okay, there we go. It was just lazy and needed a little burst of coffee, maybe. That's what it needed. Okay, so pillar number 3 is economic performance, investment, and the business environment. Even though we have economic, social, and cultural goals for Vision 26, we can't forget that the foundation of the industry has to have that strong economic performance in order to attract the investment and the businesses into the industry to make it that resilient industry. So our outcomes for pillar 3 would be that we have thriving operations enabling the sector to achieve economic performance targets, and that tourism grows its contribution to the economy of Newfoundland and Labrador, supporting investments in programs and services that enhance people's lives. And so how we want to do that in pillar 3 would be to measure tourism's contribution to the province in economic terms, but in other terms, and we'll talk about that in just a second, that we have a good, strong, solid, robust research plan and continuous monitoring, that we are having a clear understanding of the economic impact, that we are working and taking steps to maximize our private and public investments into the most critical parts that we need to address, that we are focused on investment attraction and succession planning in our industry, and that there are effective trade policies in Newfoundland and Labrador for tourism. So there are 2 main priorities in pillar 3 that we've been working on for since the launch of the vision. And the first one is performance measurement. While we have some of our outcomes identified in each of the pillars, we also need to define further our economic, social, cultural, and environmental targets, and to develop a new performance measurement framework, which was one of those recommendations from Vision 2020 evaluation. The other key priority for us was to adapt our current research plan so that we are having getting that very important visitor insights, that we were doing more consumer research to understand our consumers, to inform our strategy, and that we were engaging in those research partnerships with folks like Destination Canada and others, so that we were able to access a lot more research than we're able to produce ourselves. So these are the very early days of a new performance measurement framework that the implementation group has been working on. We are not complete, but we have started to put together the structure. The implementation group is making great progress to create a clear and efficient model that enables all of us to clearly understand what our targets are, how we achieve them, and how we measure our progress. That will help us define further how we adapt our strategies. The framework is still under the development, but the group has spent a great deal of time preparing the foundation for this work and expect to launch the new framework in Q2 24. The framework establishes the outcomes we want to achieve in short, medium, and long-term results. These results are defined in economic terms, but also in social and environmental outcomes reflective of Vision 26. Defining specific targets we want to produce will help us further define and align our inputs, such as funding, our activities such as marketing, product development, and the outputs we want to achieve in order to produce our outcomes. So we already know that 2 of the key ultimate outcomes for us will be tourism growth and a sustainable sector. So the next step for us to further drill into those outcomes to define what our targets are so that they are specific and measurable. The goal for Vision 2020 was to grow visitation to to grow revenue to 1.58 billion by attracting more high-value travelers, getting them to stay longer and spend more. And this was an important goal for us. but we didn't define how many new visitors, how many more high-value travelers, how much more did we want them to spend, how much longer did we want them to stay, what are our overall targets for overall visitation and spending growth. Without defining specifically what we are aiming for, we're not able to focus with as much precision as we need in this super competitive landscape, and we can't measure our progress, the progress of our efforts. So we want to unite in establishing those success indicators. So our research plan really has three key legs under that table, which would be adopting that performance measurement framework, which means that we have to have regular measuring of our economic impact, environmental goals, job creation. So we have to establish what those performance metrics are. We also have to make sure we have good, robust data collection for visitor stats, satisfaction, arrivals, etc., and that we are doing comparative analysis. So one of the things that we're doing for the next few months will be establishing our benchmarks in some of these areas where we haven't had them before, and to be able to do some benchmarking surveying. And even just the polls that we're doing here today will help us benchmark progress that we're going to be making along our progress of vision implementation. So just a few of the trends and outlook that we have right now, just to present a bit of context for you on Newfoundland and Labrador tourism and tourism globally. There is continued recovery of the tourism industry globally, nationally, and in Newfoundland and Labrador, but pace of growth is slowing. Recovery of international tourism to pre-pandemic levels is expected in 2024. A lot of jurisdictions in Canada expected to have full domestic recovery by the end of this year. So we'll certainly be looking to see how that panned out this year. Travel intentions among Canadians remain strong, especially for the domestic travel. It did decline over the spring and early summer. Newfoundland and Labrador residents, as an important market for our operators, their intentions to travel in Newfoundland and Labrador remain at high levels, and but there are still intentions to travel outside the province as well. The economic environment and consumer confidence will increasingly impact travel decisions. There is an interplay right now of lingering pent-up demand with the cost of living concerns, inflation, higher travel prices, but while consumers are less optimistic about their household finances, travel does remain a top spending priority. So that is favorable. Travelers are already cutting back, though, especially on some of the services in tourism, and will increasingly seek to have better value for money. And to save costs, may implement shorter trips, and travel closer to home will likely stay at higher levels. So some of the research that we're engaged in for 2023 would be finalizing the performance measurement framework in Q1 of 24. We have US consumer travel research, which is happening, will be concluding in Q4 of this year. We have a travel attitudes motivational study in Market Now, which we will finalize in Q1 of 24. And we have resident travel and tracking, which we'll finalize in Q1 of 24 as well. We also, in 2023, completed a visitor exit survey. This is the first time we've completed the survey since 2016. So we are all really excited to see how things have changed. Finalizing that survey happened, we concluded the surveying in October, and reporting will be in Q1 of 24. And as I mentioned, we have our research partnerships with Destination Canada and our other partners. For 2024, we are going to begin implementing the performance measurement framework starting in Q2 24. There's also some visitor segmentation refresh that we'd like to do later next year. We are in the planning stage of having annual visitor surveying, and that is something that we have not had. We have depended on the large exit survey to get us through every 5 to 6 years. But starting in 2024, we want to be able to do annual visitor surveying. So that's something that we're planning for right now. And we also want to enhance research partnerships with industry and other key partners. So there are a number of learnings and direction for the transformation phase from a economic performance, investment, and business environment. We know that we need to do more research, more robust strategic planning to better inform and prioritize our annual plans, to move beyond measuring outputs into measuring outcomes. Our outcome measures need to be specific and measurable for growth in visitation, increase in revenue, increase in shoulder season visitation, etc., and provincial industry engagement sessions semi-annually to better align and share all of this knowledge together. Some of the other key directions that came out of the marketing strategy review, which we'll talk about in the next section, would be understanding the path to purchase and travel attitudes and motivations. We'll provide the guidance for further adaptation in our strategy, as well as understanding the key drivers of tourism in Newfoundland and Labrador, particularly in the shoulder seasons, so that we can attack this vision with a lot more precision. I did not try to make that rhyme. We are also looking at having regular brand health assessments. We know that our brand is strong, but there is a requirement for regular engagement in that. So we are at our third poll. So this is a question about research. What is the best way to provide research updates to you? 1, send me the report through email. I'll read on my own. 2, save on government website. I'll review in my own time. 3, present the information in a virtual webinar. 4, present in a face-to-face meeting session. 5, I don't want research updates. And 6, other. Okay, we're about 40% have participated. We're doing well. This is some really great feedback that we're getting on how you want us to package up this information for you. Okay, the votes are starting to slow down. All right, so I think 2-3 seconds. All right, get your vote in. Okay, let's stop it there and see where we are. Okay, so we have the majority of our participants would like to receive the information through email. I'm sure that you would have chosen a couple of these if we had provided the option. We do have some of those where you can choose more than one answer, but it looks like that receiving the information through email is really important to everybody. Some people do go to the government website, but it sounds like there is a leaning towards getting it to you in a proactive way. So presenting the information in virtual webinar would be valuable, and about 9%. And that's excellent. 0% said they didn't want to not receive information. So that's fantastic. Okay, let's move on to pillar number 4, which is a big one. We have said all along that the 4th pillar, so every time you stop the survey, I do have a little bit of an issue advancing, so I'll just keep talking until the computer catches up. But the competitiveness pillar in our vision, I had identified as one of the most important for the transition phase. There we go. So the outcomes of this pillar was really important to us in the transition phase because we are in a competitive landscape, unlike we've ever experienced on the heels of the pandemic and all of the changes that have happened since then in the world and in our economics. So what we wanted to achieve with this pillar is that the tourism industry has efficient and affordable access, a competitive marketing strategy, and year-round high-quality experiences that drive visitation and responsible growth. And that tourism helps support infrastructure, experiences, and systems that improve the quality of life and well-being for locals and communities. So pillar 4 was all about, pillar 3 was about research. And we say that those 4 levers of our competitiveness: research, access, marketing, and product. So that's what this pillar really stands for. How we try to keep track of all of the touch points on the visitor journey is through the development of a visitor journey. So many of you are familiar with the visitor journey concept. One of the ways that we try to ensure that we are competitive is by keeping the visitor journey in the forefronts of our minds and our strategies. By keeping a close eye on the gaps and opportunities at each step of the visitor journey, we are able to thrive in raising visitor satisfaction, which does help for us to grow our visitation and economic impact. We started working with the visitor journey as part of the PD Plan 2017. I did have a slide which showed you our visitor journey 1.0, but I needed to cut out slides. So that was one of the sacrificial slides that we had. But this is our new visitor journey. The visitor journey represents every touch point on a visitor's journey with Newfoundland and Labrador tourism. So the visitor journey on the left side of the graphic represents the moments in time from the time that a visitor gets a spark of interest. This experience determines if they book a vacation in Newfoundland and Labrador. It's taking them down that path to purchase on the left side of the screen. It takes them from their interest in Newfoundland and Labrador to gathering more information, to starting to do their planning and their booking. And so if we get them down this path to purchase, we then kick into the right side of the visitor journey. So the left side of the visitor journey is largely in that marketing space, which we're going to take you through. The right side of the visitor journey, that's where the visitor's journey begins the second that they get here. That's where things like sense of arrival are really important. And if we do a good job over on the right side with the access, with the reception that they receive when they get here through that sense of arrival, when they leave the airport or the Marine Atlantic terminal, they arrive at a visitor information center, the accommodations that they use while they're here, the food that they can access while they're here, the natural and cultural attractions that brought them here, and the tours, events, experiences, and programs that they have to experience while they're here are all really important touch points on the visitor journey. And that's largely in the space of product development in our vision. And if we do a great job of getting them down that path to purchase and then over to the right side, and we do a good job over there, they will have an amazing experience in Newfoundland and Labrador. They will forever feel connected to Newfoundland and Labrador, and they will be our advocates, driving others to our destination, and they will have many happy returns. And it's so wonderful to see the number of visitors that come to Newfoundland and Labrador, that meet people, become fast friends, and are now coming for the summer for their 5th trip, or they're coming for 2 months instead of coming for 2 weeks. So we know that we are strong in making those connections with our visitors, and we want to make sure we are having the same level of consistent approach through all the touch points of the visitor journey. So from an access and transportation standpoint, we have three key areas that we're working on. Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador would certainly be presenting this piece of the pillar. They lead the transportation working group, which is made up of the airports, our key stakeholders in Newfoundland and Labrador, transportation like Marine Atlantic, our car rental agencies. So we meet quarterly to talk about what's new, what's happening, what are the trends, how do we learn from each other, and we want to be able to operationalize this working group to help us achieve our goals in Vision 2026. So for air, the key stakeholders that we work with are the airports, the airlines, and others in the community. In Marine Atlantic, and we also do have to keep an eye on the experiences of the provincial ferries and the ferry network in Newfoundland and Labrador, particularly on some of our key routes. And for auto transportation, we are starting to make some great progress on car rentals. Car share was a big deal when it came here, and we're starting to move down the road now with ride share. Just a little bit about air access. Air access is about 4/5 of the visitation that comes to the province. And we could see that the curve for visitation in tourism does follow a very similar curve to the air access growth in the province. So there's been a substantial focus on growing scheduled seat capacity to Newfoundland and Labrador, and we have seen great growth. I'll show you some of those numbers and the progress that we're making. Not all of the airports are at the same level at this point in time. We have seen continued service and some growth in our airlines, Air Canada, WestJet, Swoop, which is going to be integrated into WestJet. Porter and PAL have both done expansions, and we do have new airlines, Flair and Lynx, operating in the province. Internationally has been an area where we've tried to put a great deal of focus. A couple of weeks ago, there was a big announcement that WestJet has put back the service to seasonal service direct route to London Gatwick, which was a great milestone for us. But the work doesn't end there. We need to support that route. We need to maintain that route, and we need to work on additional international and US routes, along with continuing to grow our capacity in our domestic markets as well. And the partnerships that we have been able to develop with the transportation partners in Newfoundland and Labrador has been amazing. The level of collaboration by Newfoundland and Labrador airports and our community stakeholders is at a level that I have not seen before. This is a fiercely competitive environment, but Newfoundland and Labrador stakeholders are working together. St. John's Airport, Deer Lake Airport, Gander Airport, Goose Bay Airport, all of the airports are involved. They're participating in Vision 2026, and they are doing their part to drive air service development in Newfoundland and Labrador. And through all of this work, we have seen that there is growth year over year from 2023 to 22. We saw an increase of 6% in our inbound seat capacity, which is still down 14% in inbound seat capacity from 2019. But the last year, this was down, I believe it was 28%, but I could have that number wrong. We saw that the air passenger movements has been continuing to grow. So air passenger movements both ways would be up about 17% over 22 and down 15% from 2019. But look at the Marine Atlantic numbers. So Marine Atlantic passenger movements are up again this year, year to date by 4%. And that's about 18% up over 2019. So how does that translate into non-resident visitors year to date? So we are overall for non-resident visitors, we are up 8% over 2022 year to date, but we are down 11% over 2019. So we're now at about 89% of our visitation, but these numbers don't include the cruise numbers yet. So these are just air and auto. You can see that visitation by air is still down about 19% from 2019, but it is up from last year, 11%. And visitors by auto, you can see we're up again this year, 2%, and that's 20% increase over 2019. Auto was up 18% overall last year, and now it's up another 20%. So some of the direction for access and transportation for the transformation phase is continued collaboration of Newfoundland and Labrador transportation stakeholders, a continued focus on air access capacity, domestic Europe and the US, focus on marketing partnerships and promotions of routes and season extension, and enhanced visitor services information for ease of planning and booking. One of the things that we know is that access rests on both the left side of the visitor journey, the marketing, promotions, information gathering, planning, booking side, and also in the experience side. So it is really important for us to make sure that we're integrating more flight and ferry information in our marketing activities. So we are at our next poll, and I'm really excited for this one. This is an air access focused poll. What do you think is the most important air access priority? More capacity from Halifax, more capacity from other parts of Canada, year-round direct route from London, because right now we have a seasonal direct route from London, direct routes from other European destinations, direct route from United States, affordability of air service, and other. I do believe that people would choose more than one, but we want to see what the majority is saying. Oh, I can see where this is leaning. That is interesting. So we have about 50% have voted. These are really interesting numbers. Excellent. So we'll give another couple of seconds. Get your vote in. And let's end the poll. So, affordability of air service at 46%. That is not surprising, and we hear that constantly. The responses that we do get from people in the province around air access, our department is the lead with industry, energy, and technology. So we receive the responses from people in the province about affordability of air service, and that is one of the most dominant issues that we keep hearing about. But others, the top two tied, more capacity from other parts of Canada and a direct route from the United States. That is excellent. Okay, good information to have. All right, let's move on to our next section, which is going to be a long one because we don't have a poll in between marketing and product development. So I'm just going to take you through this tunnel of marketing and product development, and we'll come out the other side, hopefully in a better place. So the big deliverable for the Transition Action Plan was a marketing strategy review to help guide our advertising and consumer engagement, as well as our travel trade and travel media efforts. So why did we want to do a marketing strategy review? We had a new tourism vision, and we wanted to make sure that we were evaluating all of the foundational elements that contribute to our competitiveness. We had steady growth from 2018, well, actually from 2009. It leveled off before the pandemic. We know that the leveling off coincided with the reduction in airline seat capacity, but what were some of the other factors that we may be able to address that may have contributed to the leveling off? It's good timing on the heels of the pandemic, when there's been significant change in the industry, in world markets, etc. So we did hire ThinkWell Research in 2031 to do the marketing strategy review for us. And they did an assessment of the fundamentals of the marketing strategy, geographic markets, visitor segments, travel trade, travel media, our approach to market research, monitoring, evaluation, and a review of comparative destinations. If I had to have two sentences to sum up the marketing strategy review, it would be that it takes a great deal more marketing to drive a visitor to Newfoundland and Labrador than most other destinations. And it takes a great deal more than marketing to drive a visitor to Newfoundland and Labrador. So the marketing strategy review did recognize that Newfoundland and Labrador has a powerful brand that consistently contributes or is consistently recognized as a leading tourism brand in Canada, which contributes to a competitive advantage in this intense multi-billion-dollar industry. But tourism to Newfoundland and Labrador is not like many other destinations in Canada. We do not have a large US and Canadian population center on our doorstep to serve as a reliable customer base. Access to the destination is by air, ferry, road access into Labrador, or via cruise ship, but all are at a distance from many urban centers. We cannot review marketing in isolation of the other levers of tourism as well. And so access to our destination is such a critical piece because of the context of our industry. But there are other levers that do impact our growth in tourism, such as tourism infrastructure development, our labor attraction and retention, peak season capacity constraints, prioritization of tourism, and support, investment, funding, a lot of other levers. So the evaluation of the marketing strategy directly from the marketing strategy review is that our strategy fundamentals are sound. There is a defined, well-documented planning process. There's clear understanding of target audiences, source markets where visitors actively are considering, that there's smart channel and media planning. There are some measurable outputs, and the creative is resonating with prospective travelers. The report defined that the marketing strategy has created awareness and active consideration in our markets. It's increased awareness in Canada. It has changed perceptions of Newfoundland and Labrador as a tourism destination. It has developed a powerful appeal emotionally in our markets. It has yielded year-over-year success with our outputs and has increased advertising recall and awareness among the highest in Canada. However, there are three key things that we need to work on. One is moving prospective visitors through the path to purchase. So that's that left side of the visitor journey. This is where, when we talk about a funnel, this is the funnel. There are, Newfoundland and Labrador has one of the highest levels of aided advertising awareness in Canada, and is viewed as a likely destination to visit by a majority of prospects in key source markets. And we demonstrate a high number of active planners. So our collective mission and the recommendation from the marketing strategy review is, how can we collectively increase the number of visitors that move through that path to purchase? One of the things that we need to do is understand clearly what those barriers are. We all have ideas of what it is, and we know that access is important and marketing is important, but what specifically can we address? And so right now, that's, I mentioned when we talked about the research that we have ongoing in 23 and 24, but moving visitors down the path to purchase is going to be an important mission for us. The second is understanding real market dynamics and marketing impact. So the importance of market research to understand visitors' points of challenge and decision criteria along the path to purchase will enable us to effectively intervene and influence potential travel consumers to move from awareness to consideration to trip planning to booking, especially within a reasonable time frame. And we need to have more robust understanding of the actual drivers of tourism performance to support a strategic focusing of efforts to leverage marketing to solve problems and determine if they can be solved by marketing. And then the third, which is no surprise since I presented in Pillar 3, we need to establish clear, specific, strategic objectives. So our overall objective was to attract a growing number of high-yield travelers to the province, encourage them to stay longer and experience more in order to maximize the economic impact. But how do we know how many more incremental, how much longer do we want them to stay? While this is an important objective, it's not specific nor measurable, and we need to get to more specific. So I'm going to talk about the directions for the transformation phase first, and then I'm going to take you through our advertising, consumer engagement for 23 and 24, as well as travel, trade, and media for 23 and 24. So our directions from all of the work that we've done so far in the transition phase is that we need to have a greater focus on converting active consideration to actual booking that results in visitation. All of us have to do that, and we all have a part to play in that. We have to concentrate more efforts further down the funnel and truly understand and address the barriers and drivers of visitation and make it easier to book. We have to invest more in travel trade as an important part of our marketing strategy. We know that it is lower funnel and has better conversion rates. We know the limits of air access affect our performance. Building more partnerships with airlines, airports, and other key transportation providers is important. And capacity constraints in the peak summer season continue to point to a need to adapt to more season extension initiatives in our overall marketing strategy. There were also recommendations in the report for us to identify potential niche opportunities and focus on relationship building with travel trade operators, particularly our local travel trade operators. Better measuring of our outcomes from trade and media investments, more fans with travel trade versus media, and I'll show you the balance of where we are now, and the need for more integration between advertising, travel trade, our media, visitor services, and industry engagement. So more collaboration and integration of all of those. So just to reiterate that the geographic and niche other markets for our current strategy is domestically, we do a national campaign, and we also drill down in Ontario, Alberta, BC, Nova Scotia, and Quebec. And we also have campaigns in Newfoundland and Labrador for the resident market. In the US, we concentrate our efforts aligned with the Atlantic Canada Agreement on Tourism, which has just been signed back in September. We work with the other Atlantic Canada provinces with Tourism Atlantic, ACOA, to leverage each other, working in our US and international markets. So we are in New York, New England, and Mid-Atlantic, and we also are aligned with Destination Canada that way. We're also aligned with ACAT and Destination Canada in our international markets, which we focus on the United Kingdom and Germany. For our niche markets, we are in hunting and angling, outdoor adventure, and we also have an opportunity that most destinations don't often get, which is the opportunity with Come From Away, which is happening in a lot of different jurisdictions that we want to take advantage of. We have a full funnel approach to advertising and consumer engagement in Newfoundland and Labrador, and this is how we move our travelers down the path to purchase, all of us. So how we do that is starting off with our brand awareness and interest, getting them into the funnel, the left side of the visitor journey, with high impact emotional creative to connect with travelers, leading them into their trip planning process. And we achieve this largely through television, newspaper, digital, and social. The next step down in mid-funnel would be the brand and product understanding, which is where we put our impactful and engaging creative that connects with travelers at various stages along the trip planning journey. That's largely through digital media, newspaper, and social. And then we get down into low funnel, which is concentrating our conversion and leads to operators. You are the sales desk, so you are the people that receive the bookings and the inquiries. So these are highly tactical, creative, reaching travelers with demonstrated travel intent to convert and deliver qualified leads to operators. And that's largely done through digital media and social. And we want to work with all of our partners to get more prospective vacation visitors to move down that path to purchase, to book a trip to the province. So for 2023, our television was a Run Wild, a new creative that we did to, we know that Newfoundland and Labrador is on the consideration set for many Canadians, but we wanted to encourage them to seize the day and finally book that trip. So we did the Run Wild video, new photography, and so that did go into the rotation with a number of our key travel motivators. Our newspaper has two kind of focuses. We have our newspaper building awareness, which is where we put in the money shots of these big, grand, beautiful landscape images, high resolution quality images of destinations and things to do in our focus in Newfoundland and Labrador. And then we have our tactical, which provides the actual information that travelers can use to book. And I know that there are people that will say, why are we still doing newspaper? The tourism industry told us to continue to do newspaper, and we know that it works. We know that it does for our market. They do still use newspaper, and our industry told us from the ads that we put into our tactical plan that the second that the ads go into the newspaper, those are the days that there are really strong bookings. So it does work. We also have our digital. I just put out in a few samples of our digital ads that we try to move people down that path to purchase, to explore Fortune or explore Twillingate. Or we have a bunch of conversion pages around some of our hiking or cultural experiences or our special offers, our package tours. So if you don't offer travel offers, and you only use a business listing, perhaps that's a place that you could start to look, how do I put in a travel offer and get that extra exposure? The next, Come From Away, we had a campaign in 2023 with the new production in Gander, which I believe sold out, if not before the end of April, certainly early in May. So that was an amazing experience. And it wasn't just a marketing effort. There was a lot of stakeholders that had to come together in the region, in Gander. The Gander stakeholders really had to move mountains to get the sense of arrival, to have some signage, to work on some product and experiences. And all of those partners and stakeholders in the Gander area, along with the DMO and the town and other partners, really came together and worked with the Arts and Culture branch to put off Come From Away. And we're excited that there will be another year of Come From Away. Through the ACAT agreement, we also have a US campaign that we did this year, which has some more up in the building awareness of the funnel, because there is a bit lower awareness of Newfoundland and Labrador in that market. But we do focus on outdoors, icebergs, hiking, urban experiences, and our rural communities. We also do a winter campaign, which is largely resident campaign. And we had a new creative last year for the campaign, which is Winter Up. And through this, we wanted to make sure that we were not just focusing on some of those traditional winter products like skiing, snowboarding, sledding, but that there are so many other things that you do in the wintertime. Go out and see a gallery in the wintertime and then go have a meal. It's time to live it up. We always use the partnership approach of our travel offers in our winter campaign. So we do have a great deal of engagement from our operators in putting those offers together. And that's what we drive people to in that winter campaign. We also launched a very innovative mindset campaign in 2023. This is a lean into open spaces, open hearts, open minds, mindfulness, well-being. We partnered with Maxim Vacations to offer a contest to win a trip to Newfoundland and Labrador for a week-long mindfulness tour experience. We produced a deck of mindfulness cards that was 42 cards. We created a physical and an online version where you could pick a card and enter to win a contest to win the trip. This was one of the most successful contests that we've ever done. And we integrated this mindfulness into our shows and booths. I wish that we could have Jill Curran here to tell us all about that. If you ever get in front of Jill, you should ask her about the experience, because it was a life-changing experience for the people that won the trip to come to Newfoundland and Labrador, and we've heard from them a number of times, but the whole experience itself and how this group gelled together, it was a very emotional, life-changing experience. But I won't steal Jill's thunder. She will tell you that story. We also started on the ground targeting in 2023. And this is where we have a combination of paid display and social media advertising, where we geo-target accommodations around the province. Travelers are served with ads featuring the top destinations based on their current location. So if you are in Rosemorne, you may be served up an ad to travel up the peninsula to St. Anthony. Or if you're in St. John's, you might be encouraged to go visit the rooms or visit Dildo or visit Fairyland. So that is something that we've seen some really good results for 2023. The Welcome Desk 2023 was a mid-funnel approach where we wanted to work on that information gathering, trip planning, make it easy for our travelers to make their way through that path to purchase. So we developed digital videos and changes to our website to add the Welcome Desk there, which is where we park all of that visitor services information to help make it easier. And we say that there is no question too big or too strange when planning a trip here, just to make it easy for travelers. We had a very busy year from a travel, trade, and media, all of our partners together. We participated in 31 shows and marketplaces, 7 consumer shows in North America, as well as 2 niche trial shows, the ATV Snowmobile Show and International Travel Show in October. We did 10 travel trade marketplaces in North America and 3 marketplaces plus 2 PR meetings in North America. And then internationally, we don't do any consumers, but we are exploring options that are aligned with our air routes. Travel trade in international, we had 4 marketplaces and 2 media, as well as 1 in-person PR meeting. So this is, let me go back. So these are the shows that we participated in 2023. We also are doing some work to work with the industry that participates in our shows and the DMOs and our other partners that are in the markets with us in our shows to refresh not only the booth and our presence, but also analysis of the shows. We had a great one of the sessions that I participated in with our industry talked about how do we create better strategies for each of our shows, because not all of the shows are equal and we need to present something slightly different in each of them. And we want to do a lot more of that. We are in year 2023 and we have finally been able to implement a Travelify itinerary builder in conjunction with the DMOs, which has making those itineraries a lot more efficient and collaborative. So we're proud of that. And in 2023, we had 57 familiarization tours. 10 of those were North American trade, 4 were international trade, 34 were North American media, and 9 were international media. We want to change up the balance, as I said earlier, in our directions for transformation, to have more of the travel trade, which would be that lower funnel, than the media, just to create a little bit more balance in that. So I'm going to quickly go through some of the performance stats before I take you into 2024. We have 4 objectives for our marketing strategy. 1 is to build destination awareness to get Newfoundland and Labrador on the traveler's destination dream list. So our traffic to all of our web properties was up 4% this year at 4.3 million sessions. We have objective number 2, which is build engagement and drive active consideration of Newfoundland and Labrador via trip planning. So our plan and book activity on Newfoundland and Labrador increased 3% in October. Trip planning interactions were down about 4.1% despite gains in our e-news sign up. And our itinerary planner was up 12.6%, while sessions in our conversion pages are up 63.7%. Our objectives to generate leads for the tourism industry, our business listing page views are up 1% over 2022. Our operator referrals are down about 3.9% over 2022. Marine Atlantic's 50% off fall offer was the top viewed offer in September and among the top 3 in October. And so finally, for encouraging and amplifying traveler advocacy about Newfoundland and Labrador, our social media brand advocates have grown by 9.1%. And if you look at the numbers there for our story exchange has delivered 128% increase, and story views are up 221%. So what is new for television video for 2024? We have our key motivators here on our rotation for 2024, but we are going to do a new video that aims to grow the spring travel season with primary emphasis on icebergs and a secondary focus on whales and seabirds. Our newspaper for 2024, our tactical newspaper campaign does work really hard and drive increase in sales. So our campaign starts a full month earlier this year, February to April, which was a direction of the industry for us to start that campaign earlier. We do have a full funnel approach for Globe and Mail newspaper campaign with high impact photography, and we also are including flight information. So this year we'll have things like flights from 375 wherever the destination is, or 20 flights daily, and we'll have QR codes that will be continue to utilize throughout the campaign to entice action, and that's another one of our newspaper ads. We also have made some changes to digital display for 2024 with further optimization of our digital ads. We have looping animation, revising our call to action buttons. And you can see here, we used to have a start exploring button. For 2024, it's going to be more direct. Book now. We also are including some of that flight information. So depending on where the ad is being served up, it will plug in how many flights daily come to the destination. We also have work that we're doing on our lower funnel conversion pages where we showcase our travel offers. And so each of these kind of feature a key travel motivator. So we're also adding a conversion page around flight and ferry information that includes a snapshot and the ability to make a booking one click away. And we're looking at the same flight functionality on all of our conversion pages. We also have plans in the works for building off the success of Welcome Desk in 2023. So year 2, we want to spend a little bit more time down funnel on informative content. So we take a deeper dive into 3 of the most important trip motivators to answer some questions. So Seamus talks whales, Maggie talks icebergs, and Joan talks seabirds. So this new lower funnel content will be used on social media and the Welcome Desk website. And we're also integrating Welcome Desk as we can into our travel trade and show presence. But Welcome Desk has a lot of legs that we're anxious to talk to the tourism industry about, and how we can embrace it for our visitor services and throughout the entire visitor journey. Season extension 2024, we'll have our winter campaign, our spring tactical, and we also do have our fall engagement campaign as well. We do have hunting and angling campaign. Hunters and anglers plan further ahead compared to vacation travelers, so they book 1, 2, even 3 years in advance. So this is an annual digital advertising campaign in the US, and it plays a significant role for the outfitting sector. Most outfitters were sold for 2023, and bookings for 24 and 25 are very strong. We also want to continue our transportation marketing partnerships with Marine Atlantic, our airlines and airports, connections with all airlines that serve the province, marketing and promotions, and season extension. Our traveler's guide, we know more and more that technology is continuing to play a key role in trip planning. The resurgence of QR codes over the pandemic has certainly changed how we integrate those into our planning and how all jurisdictions are ramping up their use of QR codes. Trip planners and travelers expect current and correct information. And one of the recurring complaints that we saw this year over a lot of other years was the need for more accurate information, particularly in the shoulder seasons, where the information that's in the travel guide may be older in terms of the season of operation. When an operation puts in their travel guide listing, it's done the previous year. And so if anything changes throughout the year, that travel guide stays the same. And so we do get quite a few complaints about that. And it has impacted the experience of travelers on their visitor journey. So the trend is to direct people to online websites rather than printed guidelines. So for the 2024 Traveler's Guide, there's not going to be a whole lot of changes other than the integration of more of those QR codes to drive people down that path to purchase, get them online to our web properties, and then out to our travel operator websites where they can actually do that booking. We are looking at making some significant changes to the 2025 Traveler's Guide, which we're still trying to do the work to plan. But what we know is that Ontario, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, Alberta, and BC no longer produce printed travel guides to opt for that more current, up-to-date, versatile, lower funnel information in online. Newfoundland and Labrador, PEI, and Yukon are the only provinces that still include online, operator listings in the guide. So we're looking at the potential to not include operator listings in lieu of those QR codes. So then operators would be able to focus on their online presence, on their online listings, and use the power of all of those web properties to maximize the path to purchase. We're also doing a series of marketing support videos. The first one will focus on how tourism businesses can participate and benefit from our national advertising and consumer engagement, and how you can use our web properties. And the second video will promote best practices for tourism operators and overall content marketing. So we'll send out more information about those soon. We have adapted our travel, trade, and media for 2024. We did do a refresh of our show presence in 23. We're going to do an even bigger refresh in 2024. So we're really excited about that and working with all of our partners to develop that new look and feel. We are exploring some new shows, marketplaces for 2024. We are looking at the potential for London and what extra we can do there to support that new route. We are also evaluating some of our niche shows that's currently under evaluation. And we're also looking at potentially participating in new consumer shows that's being evaluated for Northeastern United States. We also have in 2024, we have the Travel Media Association of Canada is here in St. John's in June 24. And that's going to also come with a number of fan pre and post. We are geo-targeting shows now. So wherever we are, we can engage with consumers in that market to receive targeted social media and newsletter from for within a radius of the various shows that we participate in. And that's the marketing pillar. Okay, let's quickly get into the product development pillar, which I don't think is going to be as long, but I know you're all eager to do the next poll question. So there's a lot happening with product development as well. If we summarize what the key parts of the product development side of the visitor journey is for the transition phase, so marketing was the left side, this is the right side. So there were a number of visitor journey priorities that we had established for product development plan and destination development plans that we're still working on around visitor services. Sense of arrival is really important. Increasing the number of exceptional experiences in Newfoundland and Labrador. Season extension is really important. Market readiness and our destination area planning. So we did put out a tourism experience enhancement fund late last year, and that was aligned with Vision 26. It identified that we would support 50% contribution, non-repayable, up to $25,000 to tourism operators if they were planning to do investments in these 4 areas: priority experiences of arts and culture, culinary, Indigenous, and nature-based; quality improvements, such as enhancing products and experiences, improving the quality and market readiness of existing tourism products and experiences; facilitating an extension to the seasons into the shoulder seasons; and in business resilience, enhancing efficient operations or increasing accessibility to the tourism product and experiences. So all total, with the money that was leveraged from us and private industry, we're upwards of about $18 million of investment in tourism experiences last year and this year. So when we look at the business types that applied, we had a good showing from the accommodation sector, from food and beverage, but there were projects there from all of our main business types. We had over 300 applications and about 275 successful applications. 80 of those were from the Avalon, 89 from Western, 61 from Central, 34 from Eastern, and 10 from Labrador. These are the types of project activities that the industry is investing in this year. So you can see that the majority of them, almost 50%, were quality assurance and market readiness. Then it was 20% for efficiency, and then the next biggest bucket was nature-based experiences, and then culinary experiences, and then it was rounded off by arts and culture and accessibility experiences. So this is really good for increasing the exceptional experiences that are offered in Newfoundland and Labrador, and refreshing our projects or our products. I just need to make a note that it says there that 4% of our projects were accessibility, but we had to define all of the projects according to their primary category. So there could be a quality assurance and market readiness project in here that did have an accessibility component to it. So these are the ones that were very clearly, we tried to put it aligned. So there's a lot more accessibility projects in here than is noted there. Another key area for us is Indigenous tourism development. So Indigenous governments and organizations in Newfoundland and Labrador are leading the development of some very exciting and dynamic tourism experiences. We are pleased to work with NLEDA in advancing Indigenous tourism in the province. And we're also happy to be building on our collaboration with all of the individual Indigenous governments and organizations. This was a picture from a tourism opportunities session that was held in partnership with Nunatziavut Government, Parks Canada, NLEDA, Industry, Energy, Technology, and ACOA in Nain. It's been a tremendous learning experience to go to their communities and learn about what their vision is for tourism and how we can support it. Experiencing the land and the water with our colleagues, like we did in Labrador with our friends and colleagues at Innu Parks, was one of the most moving and amazing experiences that I've ever had. And I hope that most people will get to experience that. And then most recently, it's the same kind of valuable experience to go to Conn River to host a tourism opportunity session there and lay out a path for further collaboration to help move forward with our Indigenous tourism experiences in the province. We also are working with Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador and our partners, which is being funded by IET and ACOA, to refresh and revise our tourism assurance plan, to develop a market readiness program for exceptional experiences, and to complete So with that, we would be completing a program that would detail criteria for experiences branding, how experiences are validated, a whole host of things. We are also, with support from IET and ACOA, completing a review. Sorry, that's wrong. This should be an accommodation study on the first one. So we are looking at this to determine the current capacity and demand for accommodations, evaluate the availability and quality of supply, and develop recommendations to attract new investment into the accommodation sector. We also have a great deal of other work that we're doing in product development, and we only had 2 hours, So this would take another 2 hours to go through all of the projects that we are doing in tourism, but rest assured that we have cemented with our partners and the locals and communities destination area planning activities, where there used to be a time when it was individual municipalities would be doing their planning on their own. Now we're working in destination areas, and there's a lot of different approaches to that. We have a tourism planning process. There's Tourism Atlantic Step and STAR. So there's a lot of those projects and plans on in the regions that we're plugged into and seeing how we can help further those priorities. We also have a number of big major product development projects that we're working on. Come From Away is back again in 2024. 2024 is also Year of the Arts, so there's a lot of new experiences for arts and culture. We have been making some investments at provincial parks, which are an important part of the natural attractions in Newfoundland and Labrador. We are proud to be a part of a Destination Canada, Atlantic Canada UNESCO Corridors project. We have recently, it was announced that we are working on the Great Coastal Trail on the Northern Peninsula, which is a massive trail project for that region. And we're also engaged in Marble Mountain 4-season planning, as well as trying to keep a lens for 2025 is a big year because we have Canada Games coming to the province, and we need to take advantage of all of those eyeballs and visitors that are going to be coming here for the games, but can have those additional pre and post experiences in other parts of the province. We are also working on building event capacity, which is being led by Celebrate NL in the province, but working with all of our partners at the DMOs and in municipalities. We're also working on building trail capacity, such as the work that we're doing with East Coast Trail Association and other trail projects throughout the province, and starting to put some legs under the establishment of a seasonal clusters approach, which will happen hopefully in the transition phase. We also have done, we've been partnering with our airports, not only on air service development, but also on sense of arrival. And they have been the ones to drive some of the investments in sense of arrival, like the work that Tammy did at the Deer Lake Airport, or that one of the first ones that was done was the Goose Bay Airport, Randy, and the Goose Bay Airport implemented all of that new imagery and video. That was a few years ago. We might need to refresh now. St. John's Airport and the Gander Airport with the International Lounge. So there's been a lot of work. We've also invested in putting provincial signage in all of our main gateways. So far, we've done Argentia, Port aux Basques, Deer Lake Airport, Gander Airport, and we're just working to put one there somewhere in the vicinity of St. John's Airport, working with the city to find a suitable location, and they've been great partners of ours. For the transformation phase for product development, we have to complete the tourism product development plan, which we're planning to have ready in Q1 of 2024. We want to finalize the QA market readiness program and accommodation study, and as well communication and engagement around the transformation action plan. Poll question. Okay, so the question is, we kept this one simple. At the present moment, what do you feel is most critical? You can choose one to Newfoundland and Labrador's competitiveness. Research, access, marketing, product, and other. Let's give everybody a few minutes. We have about 15 minutes to get through the last 4 pillars, but We knew that the transition action plan was pretty front-loaded for the vision, so we should be able to do that. We may go a few minutes over when we get there. So we'll play that by ear. Okay, so we'll give just another few seconds. We're upwards of about 70%. We're getting there. Okay, couple more seconds. Excellent. Okay, let's end the poll and see where we landed. Okay, so that pans out about what we were hearing all along, that access is the number one priority, that and when you see how those curves look related to our visitation, there's no wonder. So access is really critical, and you can see there too that 20% think that product is, and 15% marketing. It's all really important. We know we have to have a balance of everything. So that's excellent. Thank you for the feedback there. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a palate cleanse here for a second so that I can have a break and get a glass of water, and you can have a break from my voice. And so I'm going to pass the conch to Juanita, who is let me make sure that I can turn the slide. Juanita works with Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador. She is the Chief Operating Officer for Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador. And Juanita has forgotten more about labor and employment in the tourism industry than I've ever known. So she is going to present on what Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador is doing for this pillar. But I'll just say that the outcomes for this one are that the tourism industry is recognized for offering meaningful work of varying expertise and experience levels, from frontline to management to business ownership, and that tourism supports dynamic career and business investment opportunities to people and communities in the province. So I will pass the oh, okay.
Seeing the magic happen.
Yes, yeah. And I will leave for just a second.
1 second now.
Okay, can you get it to work?
Yeah.
Is it moving? Okay, let's make sure.
Just taking a slow time to go.
It needs to wake up.
After that poll.
Yeah, after the poll. Let me, I think you've clicked on something there,
Okay.
so we will get there. Sorry, folks. There we go. You might need to ask Karen to push the arrow down.
All right, sorry about that, folks. As I said, team approach here. Some of the key actions that we're doing in regards to employment is, of course, we're doing a massive completion of a Newfoundland and Labrador tourism workforce action plan. We've been doing that, and we should expect, I'll tell you a little bit more on a further slide. And of course, for over 40 years, of course, the organization has been about building a professional tourism industry and doing some employment initiatives. And of course, you may have seen the information on our We Are Tourism campaign that we've done the last couple of years. So some of the things that we've done in the last, since we've been trying to build back our workforce from the COVID shutdowns and some of the losses that the industry saw with regards to their workforce, we've been participating in job fairs. We have our team members who attend fairs and promote the jobs that we have posted on our job board and others, and we encourage anybody out there with job postings to connect with the office, and we'll get them posted. We're seeing in some of the job fairs here in the city over 4,000 job seekers coming through the venues. So we definitely know that there are people looking for work. We just want to make the best matches as possible. And of course, one of the major things that we're doing, of course, we're not going to be able to fill all the jobs with people from Newfoundland and Labrador. So we have been working with our partners and sharing information to you about the different pathways and programs that you can access in regarding to immigration. So the Workforce Action Plan, many of you might have been, saw some promotion of this. We've been working with our consultants for about a year. The phase one of the program, of course, we were doing research and doing in-depth interviews and focus groups with industry to get a sense of what's happening on the ground. The team has synthesized the primary and secondary research and developed a draft of the plan. Currently, we have prioritized everything. We went back and did a kind of another consultation around. And now we have a draft, and we're meeting with our steering committee and with the Board of Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador to approve that plan. And we expect the launch of the final plan at the conference in February. And then we're planning to hit the streets and go around the province and work with our industry to take on some of these initiatives to help build back your workforce. And just a little bit, of course, about the We Are Tourism campaign that we undertook. And we're going to be extending this, and as well as our partners at a national level have launched a Discover Tourism campaign. And you'll probably see some social media and the state designated this week as National Tourism Career Week. So directions into the next phase, we're going to finalize and begin the implementation of the Workforce Action Plan. We are constantly advocating on labor issues, as you saw regarding the EI and being able to get those 5 extra weeks for our seasonal workforce in Zone 2 of Newfoundland and Labrador, and working on making immigration pathways easier for tourism. So we're going to be communicating and coordinating all of the tools and research and making sure you are all aware of what's available to you to help build a strong, dynamic workforce. And looks like we have a poll. So poll question number 6. What would you describe as your biggest labor challenge? Attracting workers, finding workers with the right skills and talent, ability to provide wage expectations, ability to retain the staff, ability for prospective staff to find accommodations, or other reasons?
Okay, let's see. So while we're waiting for the poll, I'll take back the conch. Thank you. Oh. All right, we're doing well. Okay, we're about 54. Okay, everybody, last few seconds to get your vote in. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We'll end the poll and share the results. Okay, so attracting workers is obviously still a challenge, but you could see that 32% have trouble finding workers with the right skills and talent. And then the next one would be 23%, the ability to provide the wage expectations. But you can see that there's also a large number of operators that are struggling to find accommodations in their communities for prospective talent. Okay, so we know that we are dwindling in our time down. We only booked until 11:30. We're going to try to efficiently get past the last 3. So these are more geared towards the transformation stage, or a lot of the work would be in the transformation stage. So we should be able to get those through no problem, just a few minutes maybe over time. So our outcomes for this one is that the tourism industry is a diverse, inclusive sector that supports cultural understanding and exchange and builds connections with all cultures. Tourism's warmth, welcome, and hospitality attract people to the province and to our communities. So within this pillar, we wanted to put on that diversity lens and have our inclusion initiatives to improve the accessibility of our operations, that Indigenous awareness and reconciliation linkages, well-being of locals and communities, and immigration and belonging activities. So the key actions under this one was to develop a diversity, inclusion, and well-being strategy. And we wanted to do that with engagement with representative organizations to inform us that we could partner with to develop that strategy. We also wanted to, and I spoke about experience development support for accessibility, inclusion, and Indigenous tourism experiences, and establishing those deeper partnerships with Indigenous governments and organizations. We also have started to move into the health transformation partnerships. The first being making those connections for tourism operators for Wellbeing Week, which was launched in 2023. So our EDI strategy, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion strategy, we've just, Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador just awarded that contract, and we'll be providing more information about that in the coming weeks. This was supported through with IET and ACOA as well, and the partnership around the implementation group. And our vision is that we will have a strategy that outlines key activities, timelines, and tools and supports to help the industry become much more inclusive, accessible. And so we have direction for the transformation phase is communication and engagement with key stakeholders in the development of an EDI strategy, and continued collaboration with Indigenous governments and organizations on their tourism visions and tourism development priorities, as well as communication and engagement of the existing tools, resources, and having alignment of purpose sessions. So we have a poll, poll number 7. So what active steps are you taking to nurture an inclusive and welcoming environment for employees and visitors? Choose all that apply. Investments, efforts in programming like marketing and experiences, investments, efforts in infrastructure, investments, efforts in training for staff, actively planning investments, policies, or actions for the future. I don't know where to start, or other. Okay, we're ticking up there. Okay, we'll give it 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that is excellent. We do see that a lot of our participants, about 50%, are making investments or efforts in programming, and you can see that there's a lot that are making active planning for the future. And 11% have said that they just don't know where to start. And that's what we want to do with the EDI strategy, is to coalesce around what are our key priorities and provide those tools and supports to operators so that they can move forward with our diversity, inclusion, and well-being initiatives. Okay, so we've got a little delay, so I'm just gonna keep going. All right. So our 7th pillar is that the tourism industry is a catalyst for celebrating, honoring, and promoting Newfoundland and Labrador's natural and cultural environment, respecting people, place, and culture. There's sustainability of the province's natural beauty, biodiversity, and cultural vibrancy. So some of the key initiatives that we're involved in for this pillar is climate change adaptation, professional development. We are working with a number of major natural and cultural attractions around sustainability. We are engaged with partners regarding some of the bigger resource management sustainability initiatives for tourism, and making sure that when there are these big discussions happening around resource management and resource development in Newfoundland and Labrador, that we have the tourism values are represented. And we've been working with our partners with IET around their Green Transition Fund and providing those links to operators for the access to funding to help them with the climate change adaptations that they need to make. So there's going to be a lot more on this particular pillar as we move into the transformation stage. Hospitality in Newfoundland and Labrador has already developed some learning and development tools. If you quickly use the QR code, you can access some of those tools and supports that are available. There are a number of climate change adaptations that operators are having to make now out of necessity, and we need to make sure that we do have those supports available. So our directions for transformation phase is to continue to advance active sustainability initiatives, communication and engagement with our key stakeholder groups, and advance priority arts, culture, and nature-based experiences. So we have identified a poll question for you. In which areas do you think you will require climate adaptations in the next 1 to 3 years? Improving energy efficiency, 2, reducing waste, 3, reducing greenhouse emissions, 4, resiliency to rising sea level storm surge, 5, resiliency to more extreme weather events, and 6 is other. We have this as a single choice, I think. So you pick the one that you think is the most urgent. Okay, so we'll give it 3, 2, 1, end poll. Okay, so improving energy efficiency, that is certainly a dominant one. And we saw a lot of that from our Tourism Experience Enhancement Fund, and resiliency to more extreme weather events. The bottom line really is that you do need to have those tools, resources, and supports to help you to adapt to changing climate. Okay, we're gonna commit to cluing up in the next few minutes. We have 1 pillar left and 1 closing slide. So we are going to get there with your help over the next few minutes. So pillar 8 is about the resiliency of tourism operations. So our outcome at the end of our vision is that tourism operations are resilient, adaptable, profitable, and sustainable. Tourism provides dynamic trade and investment opportunities for long-term growth and prosperity. And how we do that is to work on the sustainability framework for operations, particularly their financial sustainability. We have priorities in here for digital adoption, for climate change, energy efficiency, and as well investment and succession. I didn't account for the slides not changing when we give that time frame that we'd be finished in a couple of minutes. So let me try. Okay, there we go. So this is another pillar that Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador is leading. They are working with TIAC to understand the critical financial sustainability priorities and debt repayment, promoting funding options for operators for priority investments such as technology upgrades, energy efficiency, climate change adaptation. And some of the work that they've done with TIAC has really tried to put a fine point on the business debt that exists in the tourism industry as a result of the pandemic, and how are we going to help our operators get through the tough times of repayment and trying to operationalize. And one of the surveys that was conducted, I'm not sure when this one was, said that 45% of Canada's tourism business report that they are likely or somewhat likely to close within the next 3 years without some kind of government intervention around the debt load. So the direction for the transformation phase is to continue to advance tourism policy priorities, coordinate and communicate tools, supports, and resources, and initiate investment attraction actions. So our last poll and our third last slide. So this poll is: what will be your most important business priority over the next 1 to 3 years? Debt repayment servicing, business exit succession, infrastructure upgrades or maintenance, technology, digital upgrades, program experience expansion, season extension, or other. You may now vote. Well, I'm really happy that the majority of the people that came on to the webinar has stayed on till the end. Thank you very much. We have a great crew that have stayed on. We really appreciate your time. We're almost there. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see the results. Infrastructure upgrades and maintenance and program experience expansion. That is amazing. We do see that there's about 10% of our participants today are looking at business exit and succession as one of their big priorities over the next few years. So that's very telling, and it will certainly help for us in our planning for transformation phase for the vision. So we are at the end of our vision presentation today. So thank you so much for everybody for participating in the call today. I know that that was an assault on your mind of information. I hope you are still awake. But we wanted to make sure that everybody in the industry had the information and are aware of what's happening, what some of the directions are moving forward, and what the results have been of our transition action plan. The call to you is to get involved and bring your colleagues with you. Sign up for e-news or membership with Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, your DMO, or one of the other sector associations we've talked about today. We want you to participate in our future webinars, and we want you to participate in the industry engagement sessions when we come to your region or to your community. And most of all, consider these 8 pillars and consider how your business or operation can leverage the work that's being done in all of these areas for your own sustainability, but also to add to the collective achievement of something special that we know we can be as a destination here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We have a fire for our new vision, and we hope that you do too. So together we can move mountains, and I look forward to doing that with you. Thank you so much. You are free to leave, and we hope we'll see you again. This is recorded, so we will now stop recording, but let people know that they can join and watch this webinar at their leisure. Oh, actually, no, Juanita's going to say some concluding remarks. Okay.
Just a couple of last things. I want to thank Carol Ann for her time this morning. It's a very important update, and you can see from all this information, it's very overwhelming, and you can see that tourism, the team tourism in Newfoundland and Labrador is very busy working on your behalf. Thank you for your participation this morning and the time to listen. I know we're getting into December and things, and I wish everybody a great holiday season. One last note before we end today, special thank you to the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, and Recreation, and the cooperation of our regional destination management organizations who help bring this vision to life. That includes Destination St. John's, the legendary coast of Eastern Newfoundland, Adventure Central, Go Western Newfoundland, and Destination Labrador. Finally, on behalf of Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, I always want to throw a shake of hand out to our corporate sponsors, which are Steers Insurance, PAL Airlines, and Eastern Audio. Their continued support ensures that we can continue our work on your behalf. Have a great day, everyone.